Okay, so you send over those files, and I gotta say, that stuff about reality and like how much we're actually missing really got me thinking. Like, what if figuring out those different layers of existence, what if that's the real cheat code to like unlock all this hidden potential we don't even know we have?
And it really dives deep into this idea that our senses, they're great, but they're only giving us a tiny peek,
Mhm.
like looking through a keyhole at this whole amazing world outside. It's a lot bigger and crazier than just our day-to-day stuff.
Totally. Like
Yeah.
when they were talking about those different planes of existence, it was like, whoa, like a cosmic layer cake or something. And most of us are just stuck on one level, the physical one, trying to figure it all out from there. It's got to be like trying to win a video game with one hand tied behind your back.
It's limiting, for sure. The material even mentioned, like a statistic, that we only pick up on something like 0.0035% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. That's crazy. It makes you wonder what else is out there, just beyond our reach. And then they brought up the research on subatomic particles, how they seem to react to consciousness. It's like the line between us observing reality and actually shaping it, it gets really blurry.
Yeah, like we're not just watching the movie, we're somehow in it too.
Yeah.
And the trippy thing is, this isn't just some new age stuff. All those ancient traditions you mentioned, the Hermetic teachings, the Kabbalah, they all talk about this.
Yeah.
Divine paradox, the world of 1%, Vedic Maya. Different words, but the same idea. What we see isn't the whole picture. In the physical world, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
The realm of effect, as they say. The outcome, not the source.
So let's get into it, right? Let's break down this cosmic layer cake.
Right?
What are these three planes, really? Starting with the one we think we know best.
Mhm.
Good old physical reality.
Right. The physical plane. That's the world of the senses. What you see, hear, touch, taste, smell. It's where we stub our toes and drink our coffee. It's everything we experience on a daily basis. The realm of the ego, too, that part of us that's tied to our physical body and all that comes with it.
It's where most of us live, right? Just grinding away. But going back to that tiny percentage we can perceive,
Mm-hmm.
it makes you wonder what the unfiltered version of reality would be like. I remember they even compared it to a video game, like how the details only load in when you're close enough.
Yeah, that idea that the universe might be like a giant on-demand rendering based on our consciousness, it's mind-blowing. But it also reinforces this idea that we're not just passive observers, we're active participants in creating our reality.
Okay, so the physical plane, there's more to it than meets the eye, literally. Let's move up a layer to the mental plane. What's going on there?
All right, so the mental plane, this is where things get really interesting. This is the realm of thought, ideas, imagination, pure intellect. No limits of time or space like we have in the physical world. The material even suggests that every idea that ever was or ever will be, it exists here, like a giant cosmic library of blueprints for everything.
Whoa, so even like the idea of a wheel or some futuristic gadget we haven't even thought of yet, it's already hanging out in this mental space.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of heavy. And this is all happening in our subconscious minds.
Exactly. The subconscious is like the fertile ground where these seeds of reality are planted. It's where they grow and develop before popping up in the physical world. It's the realm of cause. They even use those aha moments as an example, when you suddenly figure something out in the shower or whatever,
Yeah.
like little glimpses into this mental plane.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like your brain's been working on something behind the scenes, and then, bam, the solution just appears. It doesn't feel like regular thinking. And come to think of it, anything we see in the physical world, someone had to think it up first, right? This microphone, that song you can't get out of your head,
Yeah,
it all started as an idea.
exactly. Physical stuff, it's just the final product. The material even talked about this concept of manifestation, turning thoughts into reality through, well, they called it vibration. Like our thoughts and the physical world are on different frequencies or something. When those frequencies line up, boom, things happen.
Okay, so physical, that's the experience. Mental, that's the creation. Now, the big one, the spiritual plane, the source. This one feels kind of mysterious.
Yeah, it's definitely more subtle. It's often described as pure consciousness, the root of everything. They connected it to dreaming. You know how we can fly in dreams or have these crazy experiences that defy physics? That's our spirit, our astral body doing its thing when the physical body is resting.
So, like, my weird dreams about talking animals and stuff, that's my spirit out for a walk. I never thought of it like that. And they described it as this universal Wi-Fi, connecting us all to a divine source or whatever you want to call it. That's pretty profound.
It is. And they suggested that's how we get those intuitive feelings, like knowing when a friend's in trouble or just having a sense about something. Like we're all waves on the same ocean connected underneath.
I could definitely relate to that. It's like you just know something deep down. And this idea that being tired lets the spirit wander more. Maybe that's why we need sleep. It's like our spirit needs its own playtime. So the spiritual plane, this is where our true eternal selves hang out.
That's what the sources suggest. It's the deepest part of who we are, where we connect to something way bigger than ourselves. And recognizing that connection, that's supposed to be key to like unlocking a whole new level of existence.
Okay, so we have these three planes all linked together, but then they talked about this 98% trap, which sounds a bit ominous. What's that all about?
Right. So the 98% trap, it's this idea that most people are only using one of those planes. They're stuck, identifying with just one part of reality and ignoring the power of the other two. Like trying to play a symphony on a kazoo. You're missing out on the full orchestra.
And they had those examples, right? Like the hardcore workaholics, always grinding, pushing, fueled by caffeine and deadlines. They're all about the physical, but maybe neglecting their mental and spiritual well-being.
Totally. All about the hustle, all the time. And then you've got people who are super into new age stuff, spending all their time visualizing and affirming, but not actually taking any real world action.
Right. It's like you can't just wish for $1 million. You got to do something to make it happen. And then there's those who are all about the spiritual, praying and meditating, but not using their minds to solve problems or taking practical steps.
Yeah, like any one of these approaches on its own, it's just not going to cut it. It's too limited.
So the real magic happens when we can get out of that trap and use all three, right? Which brings us to what they called the cosmic cheat code, integrating all three planes.
Yeah.
That sounds like the key to making things happen. But how do we actually do that?
Well, they laid out a 3-step process, like building a perfect sandwich. Each layer adds something crucial. And step 1, start with the spiritual.
Okay, start with the spiritual. What does that even mean? They called it a cosmic power-up, right?
Right. And the idea is that divine source, that universal intelligence, it's not out there somewhere. It's within us. And when we truly tap into that, it changes our energy, our vibe, and that changes how reality responds to us. Like tuning a guitar, you know?
Yeah.
When you're in tune, everything sounds better.
So it's about shifting from feeling like we're these little separate beings struggling alone to like recognizing that we're all connected to this bigger, more intelligent whole. And that shift changes everything.
Yeah, it's a huge shift in perspective. It's about going from feeling powerless to feeling like a co-creator. They talked about embracing this cosmic identity, seeing yourself as this powerful being with unlimited potential. Practices like meditation, getting out in nature, those can help us connect to that.
So that's the foundation, tapping into that spiritual power. What's step 2?
Step 2 is where we bring in the mental plane. So once you have that spiritual connection, you focus on your goal, your desire, and you hold it in your mind as if it's already happened, not just daydreaming, but really feeling it, experiencing it as real right now. They called it fourth dimensional living, which I know sounds a little out there.
Fourth dimensional living. I like it. So it's not just positive thinking. It's more like creating a full-on mental movie of what you want, engaging all your senses. They use the example of imagining yourself driving a new car, feeling the leather, smelling that new car smell, that kind of thing.
Exactly. They emphasize that the subconscious doesn't really know the difference between a super vivid imagination and reality. So by focusing on that feeling of already having what you want, you're planting those seeds in the mental plane where things start to take shape. Remember, that's the realm of cause.
So instead of replaying those old negative tapes in our heads, we got to swap them out for the highlight reel of what we want to create. Think from the win, as they say.
Exactly. Direct that mental energy where you want it to go.
All right, so spiritual connection, then clear, focused intention. What's the final piece of this puzzle? What's step 3?
Step 3 is where we bring in the physical. It's action time. But here's the thing. Action works best after you've done the spiritual and mental work. Otherwise, you're kind of flailing around without a clear direction.
Like trying to drive a car with the steering wheel detached. You can press the gas all you want, but you're not going to get where you want to go.
Wait.
I remember they mentioned how hard it is to force yourself to work out when you're not really feeling it.
Exactly. But when you're aligned spiritually and mentally, action flows naturally. It feels more inspired, more guided. You start to notice opportunities. You get those intuitive nudges, that inner tuition.
So it's not about mindless hustle. It's about taking aligned action. And even just being here, having this conversation, exploring these ideas, that's a form of action, right? It's moving us towards greater awareness.
Absolutely. Seeking knowledge, asking questions, that's always the first step. It's about being open to change.
Okay, so bringing it all together. spiritual connection as the foundation,
Yeah.
mental visualization as the blueprint, and then inspired action to build it all out. When those three are in sync, well, they called it a universal symphony.
It's a beautiful image,
Well,
right?
hey.
Everything working together in harmony. And
Yeah.
the potential, it's huge.
Yeah.
Manifesting your dreams, shaping your reality. It's not about working harder or wishing louder. It's about this aligned action, this holistic approach.
It's like we're all conductors leading this orchestra of our being. And when everyone's playing in tune, well, we become the composers of our own lives.
That's the power right there. And it goes way deeper than just think positive or work harder.
So the takeaway here is that we are all three-plane powerhouses, even if we don't always realize it. We might get stuck on one level, but now we know how to break free. We can tune into that spiritual wisdom, use our mental power to create a clear vision, and then take inspired action to make it happen.
It's all there within us. We just have to remember how to use it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm thinking about how to put this into practice. Next time I'm facing a challenge or going after a goal, I'm going to remember these three planes. Am I connected spiritually? Is my mental picture clear? And are my actions aligned with that vision?
It's a powerful framework for sure. Maybe take a moment right now and think about something you're working towards. How could you use these three planes, this spiritual connection, mental clarity, and inspired action to make it happen? It's a great question to consider.
It really is. Food for thought, for sure. All right, until next time, thanks for diving deep with us.
Always a pleasure. Keep exploring.